The recent flare-up between Israel and Palestine's Hamas group caught the world's attention, with global leaders voicing their concerns. Amidst this international crisis, Indian leaders too chimed in with their criticism of the war. Prime Minister Narendra Modi expressed solidarity with Israel, condemning the rocket strikes by Hamas. Similar sentiments were echoed by many other Indian leaders who called for an immediate cessation of the violence, stating rockets and mortars on one side and aerial and artillery bombardments on the other must stop immediately. While all of them maintained a similar stance on the war and hoped for peace, the issue ignited many a debate among citizens, especially on social media. Netizens believe that while international issues draw attention, it's critical to also focus inward. The northeastern state of Manipur has been engulfed in a cauldron of violence, facing what some describe as a civil war-like situation. It took nearly 3 months and a viral video for Prime Minister Modi to break his silence on the ongoing ethnic violence in Manipur, a response coming in much later than his reaction to the Middle Eastern crisis, which was in less than 3 days. Even as the EU Parliament's resolution on the civil war-like situation in Manipur brought a sudden embarrassment for the Indian government, the reaction from Indian leadership, especially the ruling party, seemed less immediate compared to their responses to the Israel-Palestine situation. The crisis in Manipur escalated, with hundreds of people being reported dead. Yet the urgency in the Indian leadership's reaction to this domestic issue seemed to trail their responses to international conflict. Some criticize this as a selective response, questioning the priorities when a part of the nation has literally been burning for months, when children and women of India are being tormented, but only the plight of those miles away is being talked about. What about action against Manipur perpetrators? What about justice for Indian victims? What about the thousands of lives that have been displaced, eagerly waiting for their own leaders to give them some sort of relief? And mind you, it's not just the politicians. While we pull up our leaders for the importance they're shedding on the matter, let's not forget the people of India who have been so quick to take sides in the war between Israel and the Hamas group with barely a knowledge of what the real issue even is. In contrast, some argue that international diplomacy carries its own weight of significance, which of course it does, but at the cost of India's own citizens? That's a question that remains unanswered. This discourse unravels a broader narrative, the balance between international diplomacy and addressing burning domestic issues. It challenges the leadership and the populace to reflect on where the focus should lie, especially when the smoke of unrest billows both at home and beyond the borders. And the question arises, if we the people of India want to be one that plays Mr. Goody Two Shoes in the international arena, raising our voices against acts of terrorism and calling for global peace, or be someone who wants to implement the same first at home before peeping through the neighbor's door.